out the beginning. I don't care.
You're too
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first episode of
Episode 1.
Episode 1, hopefully of many more. We're your hosts.
I'm Liz Capizano, also known as Cappy Classics.
And I'm Georgia Kotsiovis, also known as Kotsi Kinders. Welcome. Alright, really quick before we get started, we're just going to kind of update you guys about our school background. So for undergrad, I went to Lewis University. And for my master's, I went to Olivet Nazarene. I had to think about it for a second. I have a master's in curriculum and instruction with an endorsement in ESL or ELL or EL, depending on what district you work in.
And I graduated from Northern Illinois, and then I went back and got my double master's from Lewis University.
Overachiever.
A little bit. My first master's is also in curriculum instruction with an ESL endorsement, and my second one is in educational leadership. So someday you might see this girl in the principal's seat. Probably not, though. Not ready for it. I love the classroom setting and impacting my little minds. So I also, do you want to talk about the grades?
Oh, yes. Okay. So, I have been in the school setting out of college for 9 years. My first year, I was a paraprofessional, also known as a teacher's aide for a kindergarten and second grade classroom. After that, I ventured into my own teaching position, and I taught 4th grade. Then after that, I taught 3rd grade for 2 years, and now for the last 5 years, I have been in kindergarten, where my heart is definitely at. I love the little
special someone, let me tell you. In my background, I also started 9 years ago, too. I was a teacher's assistant. Shout out to all the teacher assistant parapros that are in the classroom. You do amazing things for us. We thank you so much. We couldn't do it without you. And that was for 1st grade. And then I did 7 years as a 5th grade teacher. I also had 1 year as a 5-6 split. That was a very challenging but great year. And now I'm on my 8th year as a 2nd grade teacher.
Ooh,
so we come from kindergarten, 2nd grade, 1st grade, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So a lot of experience between the two of us over here.
Yeah. I mean, we're
a
like
lot of, we are, you know.
So if you ever need anything,
exactly, you
ask us.
can reach out.
Really quick also, we're just gonna kind of tell you about our background together and kind of how we met and how this all came to be.
We've done a lot.
Yes,
together.
and 8 years especially.
It's probably because you FaceTimed him and you're stealing his identity.
Yes, I just sent my brother a message and now he's calling me. So 8 years ago, we were both new teachers in the same school, and if you know me as a person, you know I am one of those people that has to know everybody. I have to introduce myself.
Very outgoing.
Yes, I'm so weird. Like, if you're new, I need to know who you are. You know, just
she's the welcome.
Yes,
committee.
I'm like a welcoming committee without the official title. So my first year, obviously being a first year teacher is hard enough. So I'm like, you know what? I need to make friends with new teachers. You know.
And we had a lot of new teachers.
Yeah, that year there was like 6 or 7.
There was a lot that started.
Yeah, so I was roaming down the hall, and I went into Liz's room, and I was like, "Hi, I'm Georgia," and, you know, she doesn't remember this.
I have no recollection of her doing this.
But that year, I was teaching 4th grade, Liz was teaching 5th grade, and we kind of started our friendship there, and then over the years, it just built into so much more. We've done a lot together over the years, which I'm sure you're going to hear a lot about, the things that we've done together.
Yeah, we've binge-watched shows
and
stayed up 24
hours. That is true. We were literally texting each other all night.
Yeah. To look up hashtag a pop and pair.
Yeah, and
we had that going for a little bit.
Yeah, when we were
we've done buddies and student council. So much we've done together.
It's truly been a wonderful experience.
Yes, it has. So you all on both of our Instagrams reached out. Well, we reached out to you and we asked for some questions that you would like honestly answered by 2 teachers. I don't think we're veteran teachers. There's still a lot to be learned by both of us.
But we technically are.
I don't know, I thought that like that 10-year mark
so
is
we have
like,
2 more years.
Yeah. So I don't consider us veteran teachers. I think that there's a lot to learn from other amazing teachers out there, and some of your questions that you asked are very interesting and a trip down memory lane.
Literally.
So.
The first question is, when did you realize you wanted to be a teacher? So for me, I think I was probably 5 years old. My cousins and my brother will tell you that I was bossy because whenever we played school, I had to be the teacher. No one else was allowed to be the teacher. And if I thought you were wrong until like, the end of time. So I definitely knew I wanted to be a teacher when I was younger. And then originally, funny fact or funny story, I wanted to teach high school math. And I know,
finding out new things. I didn't know that.
And I was in my 2nd year of college, and I remember talking to my grandpa, who was like my biggest supporter. And he was like, you know what, Georgia, you need to do whatever's going to make you happy in life. And I think deep down he knew I didn't want to teach high school.
You did, yeah.
You know, so he told me that. So after talking to him about it, I was like, Mom, Dad, that's it. I'm going to teach elementary school. And everyone's like, oh, elementary. And I'm like, yes, I love little kids. And that's where my passion was at. So I was like, definitely, I need to go for it. And I did.
Was yours? Mine was later in life. I mean, I did the school and I did the play, and actually, I did not want to be a teacher my whole life.
Stop! I honestly
wanted to be a coroner.
No way!
Yes, and yeah, for those of you that don't know what it is, because there's not a lot of people that do, I wanted to work on like dead bodies and find out like why they died and be like that crime scene.
I had no idea.
Yes, my calling came probably when I was at my first job in education was when I was a teenager. In high school, my first job was working at an after-school daycare with, surprising enough, kindergarten, 1st, and 2nd graders.
Huh.
Yes. So it came later in life for me with my calling, but I enjoyed every minute of it, and now I know I'm where I meant to be. So
I'm like in shock though that I did not know this.
I know. Well, you know, my mom was a single mom. She came from the medical field, and I don't really have any teachers in my family. Oh no, my aunt was a principal, so
See?
yeah. But you know, school took too long, and I ended up going to school the same amount of time in the education world as I would have if I would have been Dr. Campuzano.
Doctor in the house.
So yeah, that's
wow. I'm like literally shocked right now that I did not know this.
I know.
Wow.
We're gonna find out things. I know. So let's see, what our next question?
Ooh, advice to 1st-year teachers. Honestly, I don't even know where to start. Don't be so hard on yourself.
That's a good one.
Because I feel like I was taking everything that I did, like, so, like, to heart, you know? Like, if a lesson went bad, it was, like, the end of the world. And, you know, I think that teaching is definitely, like, a learning experience. You kind of need to roll through it, see what works, see what doesn't work, get to know your kids, and
I think another, just make those close friendships.
Yes.
Because all the people that I started with my 1st year, we've all kept in contact. And I no longer teach at the school that Georgia works at, but I still talk to all of them. And I think just forming that bond, and you need to have a group of friends that's there to support you and to talk to. And you're going to cry. You're going to have great days. You're going to have, you know, memorable days. Just
and you know what's funny? Because I feel like that's something that they don't teach you when you're going to school. You know, there's been so many times that, like, you know, even in your personal life, sometimes you're having a hard time in life, and, like, you need to go to work every day and put on a happy face for those kids.
You can't let them know what's going on.
But it's so nice to know that you have friends at work that you can literally talk to during, like, lunch or your planned period that you know that are going to support you and kind of help you get through the day.
Absolutely.
Or, you know, when you're having a really rough day and you need just, like, 1 minute to yourself, that they're like, you know what, during your planned period, I'll come in, watch your class for a minute so you can, you know, take a deep breath.
That's probably my biggest advice for a 1st-year teacher.
Yeah, I agree.
Not sweat the small stuff.
Yeah, don't sweat the small stuff ever. Ooh. Yeah. What was your first day of teaching like? Not student teaching. Not the student teaching. Actual teaching.
Oh gosh. I mean, it was how many years ago? It's hard to remember and go back and think. And I mean, I'm so sorry to my first year class. If
Same.
you are, well, every teacher I feel is sorry to their class, and
But did you tell your class it was your first year teaching?
I'm sure I did. And
I
I probably told them that I was like 23 years old, and I was this young teacher, and learning my ways.
I didn't even tell the parents.
I don't know.
And I remember in my welcome letter, I put like, I was going to be your child's 4th grade teacher, but I never specified it was my first year.
And the funny thing is I always wanted to teach the littles.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got this 5th grade position, I was like,
What?
Bruh. Well, yeah. I don't know.
But you loved it.
I love it. I love the upper grades, and so.
Yeah, we're very
It was
opposite in that
very,
aspect.
There's different walks in life. 2nd grade has taught me a lot too, and it's been a challenge. Just because they grow a lot more in the younger grades than in the 5th and 6th grade. So, but my first classes are now seniors in high school. So, and yours are
juniors.
Yeah, so we're very old.
30.
Yeah. I'm sure it was just a mess my first year, not even day.
Oh, no, first
year. And
my first year, and I had 26 kids in my class.
I don't know how many I had.
I mean, I have 21 now, and I had
26 is a lot your first year.
I had 17
because like we have talked about, you're in control. When you're student teaching, you have
somebody else is like watching everything that you do, kind of helping you maneuver, but when it's your first teaching job, I mean, you're thrown in there and you had to roll with the punches. Exactly. You need to think on your feet. You know what, honestly, teaching has taught me that you literally need to always have an answer for everything very quickly, because there's some questions that you literally need to think out, how am I going to answer this to a child? And, you just really need to roll through the punches and literally think before you say. That's what I learned.
That is very true. Very true.
Do you find it hard to balance your work life and your personal life?
I think it's hard to balance when you start a new path in life. I felt teaching 5th grade for 7 years, it was the same thing, the same standards, the same projects that I love to do, even though it's a new group of kids and new personalities. But now it's hard to balance work and home life, and I think that you need to have that balance, though, and I try not to take home my work bag every night, but work does not stop at 3:30 when the school day is over.
I agree.
Or 2:45 in your case when you're... You start a lot earlier than me, though.
For me, I have to literally tell myself, like, today is going to be a day designated to just me time, because I find myself, even when I am at home and just, like, relaxing, all of a sudden the next thing I know, I'm on Pinterest, and then all of a sudden I'm on my computer and I'm recreating a whole, like...
On TPT.
I'm on TPT adding products, and that's why over winter break I said to myself, Georgia, you are not opening up anything. You are going to sit down and just relax, have fun. But I did get my Access Training Certificate to test.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, thank you. So I did do that, but I mean, that's different. I wanted to test my kids for Access because I have
and I told myself, oh my gosh, I have a lot to grade and a lot to do. So I did do work over break.
All right. Moment of truth. Most embarrassing moment during your teaching career. Do you want me to go first? Okay. So I have two. The first one is last year I got a chemical peel. This is so funny. And I did not realize that this chemical peel that I did
in the middle of the school year. Let's talk about not even on a break or.
And I think I did it like on a Monday.
Yeah,
so
it wasn't on the weekend.
So by Wednesday, my face was peeling so much that I looked like a snake shedding skin. And it would just happen throughout the day. So like in the morning, I would moisturize so much so I wasn't peeling. And then like by lunchtime, it's like my dry skin is falling everywhere. And like
it's all red.
My kids are just like staring at me. They're like, are you okay? And like at the end of the day for dismissal, parents were like, oh, were you on vacation? Were you peeling? I'm like, I got a chemical peel. It's like super awkward. And then another embarrassing moment, this happened 2 years ago. I was on antibiotics, And you know, like sometimes doctors tell you, oh, you can't take this on an empty stomach, like you need to eat it. I'm like, yeah, got it, thanks for the advice. But I'm like super holistic. I take vitamins every morning, and I always take them on an empty stomach. So I'm like, doctor, I got this. Clearly I didn't. So sure enough, I literally take the antibiotic 30 minutes before lunch. So my kids are all lined up for lunch. We're all starting to walk out the door, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm literally going to be sick. So I scream to my kids, wait! Probably not like that, but kind of. And I like run to the garbage can, and I literally, my head's in the garbage can, and I'm throwing up. And it was so awkward because like my kids are watching me as my head's in the garbage can, and they're 5 and 6 years old, so it's like even more embarrassing because they're like, oh, she's throwing up.
I felt for you. Yeah. They know what to do.
So sure enough, I told my principal
you're
and
invincible.
went home sick. Yeah, I'm not invincible.
Probably watched
cut my finger yesterday. Yeah, I did. I went home and watched all.
See, there you go.
How about you?
Hopefully, was it Christmas time?
No.
Only Christmas.
Exactly.
Matters. So, well, we have at her school we had like carts that we have to plug in to use the projector, and my one time the cord was plugged in and I tripped over it and fell flat on my face.
And 5th graders, they laughed.
They made sure I was okay first, but then they laughed about it. This year, I have my boots that I was actually wearing today, and I was walking, and somehow my 2 boots caught onto each other.
Did you fall?
I didn't fall, but I had to undo my shoe in the middle of a math lesson this year, and I was really, thank God I didn't have any hole in my socks, because that would have been even more embarrassing if I had
they pick up on everything.
They do, yeah. I don't have anything super embarrassing. I'm sure I do. I'm sure it'll come to me, but nothing I could think of right now.
Not in front of my students, but an embarrassing moment at work is my first year teaching, and I just need to add this in there too. The school that I currently work at, I went to as a child. Okay. So I went to. So I knew my way around the school like the back of my hand. And either my first year or my first week, a teacher in the junior high, because I'm connected to a junior high, was like, "Oh, sweetie, are you lost?" And I'm like,
"Your first year?"
Yes. I didn't know. I'm like, no, I'm like, I teach 4th grade down the hall. She's like, oh my gosh, you look so young. I thought you were in junior high.
See, that's why. They probably all knew.
Yeah. I mean, my first year, I was like 20.
I think we were 23. Yeah.
So.
22.
No, I was 23.
No, 23. 23.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
But it was funny. What was your biggest achievement?
Well.
You want me to tell them yours? Okay. I think our biggest achievement, this is how we are. We will answer each other's questions, fill in sentences. That's what happens after 8 years of working together and seeing each other every single day.
Oh gosh.
I definitely think that your biggest achievement was definitely Pennies for Patients. So do you want to
So Pennies for Patients is for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and we had partnered through them because we both did student council together last year for 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students, and we in 2 weeks raised over $5,000 for Pennies for Patients, and it was just an amazing thing to see. I honestly did not think that we were going to raise that much.
It was literally extraordinary.
It was, and we just spent, it's a lot of work for 2 people to do, and we closed down a bank.
I remember, so they tell you to go to Coinstars, and Liz and I probably went to 7 Coinstars, and they were not
either
accepting.
They were full, or only certain Coinstars paired with the Pennies for Patients.
So it was a Friday night after school. We were at the bank till after the bank closed. I thought the bankers or tellers, the people that worked at the bank were not.
They were not happy with us at all.
I felt so bad.
They were not happy,
but
because it's pennies.
Yeah. So, I mean, some were dollars.
Some were, not very many. There were, and they come in these little buckets, and
so they had 27 individual boxes to count and sort through. There was 8 staff members working, but
it was crazy. But that was it. And then I think yours is, and I'm very grateful for that experience, was Enchanted Backpack.
Yeah.
That you got for our school. So
yeah, I basically my cousin told me about Enchanted Backpack, which is kind of like a grant that you can apply for, and if your school gets the grant, basically they will donate roughly like $45,000 to $50,000 worth of supplies for your school, whether it's like coats, gloves, school supplies,
Books.
carpets for teachers, books.
Yeah, there's like stuff for like recess in there.
I mean, the amount of things was literally like breathtaking.
Yeah.
It was amazing. So they came to our school, and then the news came and like we got interviewed, which was super
a big
exciting.
moment. Yeah,
I thought that this was the moment
she was
that
gonna
was
break it in there.
because I also wanted to be an actress, but I figured
She was in a movie.
I wasn't
That
extra.
was, yeah, an
But I was like,
extra.
7 years old, no, probably like 6, and I was like dancing, but
See?
no speaking lines. I mean, I wasn't discovered then, and I probably never
The
will
time
be.
is coming. It's
Yeah.
coming.
I'm gonna become an actress at 40. I got 10
Look at the
years.
Golden Girls. They were older.
Yeah, but like people knew about them before. Like no one cares about me.
I don't know. Time is coming.
Yeah.
I feel it. In
I
my
hope so.
bones.
What about our biggest achievement together? This moment right now.
This
for sure.
moment,
This
right
moment
right
takes
here
the
is our
cake.
biggest achievement.
No.
I mean, if we get 100 views,
yeah, that'll be an
like,
achievement.
Nicole, just keep watching it over and over.
No, actually, in all honesty,
we've done a lot.
I feel like we've done a lot over the years.
We push
together.
each other.
Yes.
To do better
You
in
know,
our class.
Like if I'm having like a rough year, you know, I have Liz like, don't forget you're amazing, and like vice versa. So that's what we said.
Encourage.
It is so important to build friendships in your building. I mean,
It is.
you know, you build these tight relationships that are literally gonna last you a lifetime. I mean, we don't even work at the school anymore, the same school anymore, and here we are.
Talk almost every day.
Yeah, FaceTime,
together,
when she doesn't answer, I'm like, Liz,
exactly.
call me back. You know,
Exactly.
we share resources.
And if I answer on Instagram and not a text message, I'm in trouble.
yeah,
with, like,
I
Mom and
literally would be
Daryl
like, I
over there,
texted you.
like,
And then also, it's like nice though because sometimes she knows I love creating products, so she'll send me things. She's like, "Can you make this for me?" I'm like, "Anything."
because
please,
let's
sweetie."
talk. Like, if you could see this, just the fonts are on point. She typed up all the little questions here, and I mean, I can make something, and I have, but I don't have the cutesy dootsy little fonts.
I'm all about that.
You are. So.
All right.
All right, let's see what else you got.
Question. Ooh, what's the most challenging part about being a teacher?
I think that the demands and the stress from, you know, it's not parents, it's not kids. I've had great parents to support me throughout my whole career. I've had wonderful kids. It's just the demands, and you have to meet this standard and take this test, and your kids have to grow this much by this amount of time, and if you don't, it's your fault, and just the pressure of just being a teacher, I think.
And time. I mean,
That's
I feel like there is never enough time to get everything that you
oh,
want to do
no.
done. No, it's fine. Keep going.
Okay.
Keep talking.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, we just had a little battery incident going on here. One of our bloopies.
But no, I mean, there's some days where I'm like, oh, I didn't get to this, I didn't get to that, and then, you know, it pushes all your lesson plans back,
It
and,
does.
you know, that makes it hard, or there's times where, and I know you're the same way, if your kids all of a sudden are super interested about something because something that you're teaching led to that, I will drop everything I'm doing to hit that topic instead. You know what I mean? Because
absolutely.
I feel like if we're all of a sudden super interested about like gorillas, like,
right.
and we're learning about animals, all right, you know what? We're gonna switch it. We're gonna learn about gorillas
exactly.
really quick. You know,
exactly.
But
and just you know, a schedule that we have to create. Life skills aren't in there, and just class meetings and talking about your weekend and you know all that stuff and science time. Just the demands.
Yeah, and I feel like it's challenging too because there's never enough time in the day, and you also want to build those relationships with your students.
Exactly.
And you need time for that too. You know, because if you don't have a good relationship with your students, you know, it's just a different.
Well, it's just not in it. You can't do worksheet after worksheet.
No, that's not fun.
Right. Because if you're bored, they're
bored.
probably bored. Yeah.
And I hate being bored.
Yeah.
Liz knows.
She's go. She's the crazy one, dancing on the tables, jumping up, and She's got the energy.
Ooh, this was a question that one of the parents actually in my class asked, and
Your current class?
Yes, and I literally loved it because I thought it was awesome. How do you get kids to listen without screaming your head off? Asking for myself. And honestly, I mean, we're human too. You know, a lot of you have multiple kids, and I get it. But like, once you have like so many, you're like, you know, like I have 21 this year. How many do you have?
23.
23, you know.
Yeah.
You kind of get used to it in a weird way, but also like, you know, obviously at home it's different because they're your children, but for us it's like, all right, they get individual incentives for good behavior, they get table incentives for good behavior, and then like a whole class incentives. So I mean, they're constantly working towards some type of goal. So when parents have asked me in the past, I'm always like, you know what, try to have some type of reward system going on just to help them.
I think building positive relationships too is a big thing with them, and you know, they aim to please, and you know, you need to make sure that you're there for them as their teacher, as you know, someone that they need to talk to too. So building those relationships is a big thing.
So just positive reinforcement to get them to listen to.
I mean, we use callbacks, so we have the doorbell in our room that we use. Do you still use a doorbell? Yeah. Do you use it? I use mine for lining up. What do you use yours for?
Oh no, I use it when I want their attention. And then now while we're doing doorbell, hands on your head. Well, that's a just so that they're not holding a pencil.
So we have like a doorbell and we ring the bell, and mine is to what they need by the end of the doorbell, lining up. They're quiet. They're ready to go into the hall. That's
because yours like sings like a song.
Yeah, I have like the song. I just don't have the bell.
Mine is like ding dong. Just like that. All right, next question. What was your favorite lesson to plan and why?
Well, I'm going to start off with lessons, just lessons that Georgia and I have done together. So we've done, I don't know if we mentioned, we did buddies together. So for kindergarten, 5th grade, we did buddies for 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years we've done buddies, and we've done a lot of planning for that and a lot of preparation, and I think some of the best lessons were just our classroom transformations that we did. My favorite thing to plan was when we were pilots.
It was awesome.
I mean, we dressed up as pilots. We had little badges. Shout out to Southwest.
Yes, thank you, Southwest.
Yeah, they really supported us in there. Gave our kids all little certificates for completing it, and you did a great job with like your actual room and transforming it.
Yeah, I had my kids sit in rows like 3 and 3, kind of like on that like airplane.
Yeah.
And
you had like a runway.
Yes, I had like a little like runway, and then actually during snack, I went around and I like was like a flight attendant. I was like, "Here's your here's your snack,
so
you know." And my kids literally loved it, and they didn't have their table in front of them, obviously. So like all day, they only had like a clipboard that would go under their seat. Yeah. But then, as a part of the destination or the classroom transformation, when we stopped and landed, every station was like one area was baggage claim, and they had to like complete the activity. Then you know, I think it was like an ocean.
And even though we planned it together, obviously we had separate curriculum.
Right.
So she had different destinations, I had different destinations, but mine were math centers. So they had a fraction passport that they had to complete. And we did like paper airplanes with like measurement and the distance of how far it traveled. So I've done a lot of those. I'm trying to think. I like a lot of holiday activities. Those are probably my favorite. Just the open end where kids can be creative, and there's very minimal directions that come from me. There's a beginning and an end goal, but how they get to that end goal is up to them. And those are some of my favorite lessons, because that's when you see those light bulbs.
Oh, definitely.
Come off in a lot of come on in a lot of the students.
Like we talked about earlier, when we filmed this the first time, and then had to stop.
We had a little interruption.
We did the gingerbread man houses, and we did that at Buddy's, and we didn't use the milk carton that like most teachers use. We literally gave them the supplies, and we're like, "You build a gingerbread man house," and it was awesome to see them like.
And I don't think we even gave them gingerbread cookies. We had to like substitute them.
No, didn't we actually buy? We bought kits.
Oh, we did buy the kits.
And they had like the front. Well, they had to build the houses, and like they were falling over, and you could see the kids like genuinely like thinking like, how am I gonna build this? It was awesome. Really good experience.
And then you also tie in like the SEL portion of it, where or the growth mindset where if you're getting frustrated, what can we do? Because they all had to come to an end goal, and they all also enjoyed eating their gingerbread houses afterwards.
No, it was a lot of fun. I feel like if your school or district allows it, when you can do activities with food, it's just, you know, they get really excited about it. You know, but you do have to be careful because of allergies.
Yeah.
Our school has like a safe snack list of like things that we can have in the classroom, so it kind of makes things a little bit easier for us to have food around at times. This is actually our last question.
Or if your district allows buddies.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes, you know, buddies are a good thing though. There's a lot of good benefit.
What advice would you give to someone who is aspiring to be a teacher?
Aspiring to run. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
She's definitely joking. I hope.
No, I am. It's very rewarding, and like I said, I see so much growth in my students this year that it's unbelievable.
And
how much
like they grow.
And just how excited. Like we started cursive today. They would have done cursive all day.
Aww.
It was this crazy, like couldn't believe it, and they all wanted to write in cursive, and so.
And also, I feel like if you do want to be a teacher, do it for the right reasons. I feel like I've heard so many people say, well, I really want holidays off and I want my summers off. That is definitely the wrong reason to become a teacher, because I promise you, the amount that you endure during the school year, if you don't like what you're doing, you won't care that you have your summers off. You need to wholeheartedly enjoy what you're doing and like kids to be a teacher. So if you are not passionate about that, it's probably not the right career path for you.
I wish I would have journaled a lot more. I keep all my notes and my cards that kids have made, but just journaling, like, today I fell in my room. Like, you know, just looking back on that, even like what 8 years ago Liz was like in the classroom, and because it's not what I'm like now.
Oh,
and
right. You change so much.
Yeah, you grow and change and need to think on your toes.
I feel like I was a very boring teacher my first few years.
I think you're getting your feet wet.
Yeah, and the things that I do now, I don't think I would have even know like how to start, before.
Wasn't there one? I thought there was one more question.
There might be. If you want to look through it really quick, and I'll talk about.
You can talk about it. I'm just gonna look through.
What was I talking about?
Just. It's been a long day.
No, literally, what was I saying?
I think you were talking about like being a teacher, being a good teacher.
Oh yeah, no, like years ago, I felt like I was like, oh yeah, this worksheet looks cool, but like that's not. For me, I cannot teach worksheets anymore. I mean, I do worksheets, don't get me wrong, but my main focus cannot be on worksheets. My main focus is like being up, being energetic, doing like math games. If you follow me on Instagram,
passion.
Yeah.
Your passion.
You know, like if you follow me on Instagram, I did the snowball fight yesterday. My kids literally loved it, you know.
And you gotta realize I think it's the little things that they enjoy too. It's, you know, don't need this big elaborate production. It's like you said, the snowball fight. It's a piece of paper.
Yeah, and you just
scribble up and
throw it.
You know,
I mean, there were numbers on it, so we're not just like, woo, throwing papers like that. No, it's educational, you know, and
but it's just a fun spin on it.
Yeah, I think, you know, like Liz said earlier, if you're bored or if they're bored, you're probably bored, and that's so true. I mean, obviously, still there's times where I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I'm like bored right now, and that's when I'm like, I need to change that for next year. You know what I mean?
I mean, I know you do too. We both do a lot just reflecting and how can you make this lesson better? What can be changed for it? And just a lot of thought and reflection.
Did you figure out what question it was?
Well, no, I thought there was something one at the beginning about like the mentor. Was that just part of like my first year of teaching, going back to my first day?
Oh, you were.
Was that a challenge or something?
Maybe.
So I'm just going to start off by saying my first year of teaching, like we had said, we were thrown into it, but normally you get paired up with somebody, and I got paired up with somebody who was going on a maternity leave, and I never got a mentor after she left and did not return back to school. So just making sure that you have someone there for you, because if you're by yourself, you're gonna go crazy and not have that work-life balance at all.
Yes. And honestly, like, don't be afraid to ask questions. Like,
yes.
no question is a silly question.
Yeah.
Choice of words, so important. Because at the end of the day, somebody else might have that same question, and like some of it you
could be their voice for them.
Yeah, and like sometimes you honestly just don't know. I mean, like running report cards. Your first year, probably you need to ask somebody. You know,
exactly.
Progress reports. Like I've learned so many tricks over the years, just like playing around with it myself. So definitely like ask those questions. Don't be scared to, and honestly,
good advice for a first year.
Yeah, like make the most of the year that you have, and appreciate every moment, because like for me, every year at the end of the year, no matter what, I am so emotional leaving my kids.
I agree. It is an emotional time. No matter if you've had some good times or you've had those rough years, it's still emotional.
Yeah, and
it is.
It's
because you had them for 180 days.
Yeah, and like at the end of the day, it's like they're your babies.
Yeah.
Like we spend a lot of time with them, and
agree.
It's hard to let them go.
It is.
When I see my former students in the hallway, I'm like,
I know.
And have fun with it.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
We have an episode planned for next week.
So
what the topic is,
we don't
to
know
be
yet.
determined.
It might be a day in the life of a teacher, or
maybe
something along those lines.
I don't know.
Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you, and thank you for your questions that you submitted.
We hope you loved us.
Yes.
And if you didn't, I'm so sorry you had to sit.
But this is the honest truth.
Yes.
And the honest response is that they're not going to teach you at college.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're here to keep it raw and real.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.